Welcome back, everybody, to another installment of Fullback Fridays here on the Miller Football channel. If you don't know who I am by now, my name is David. I also go by Miller Football. And today, I know it's Saturday, we're a day late, but it doesn't matter. Fullback Friday is a state of mind, not a day of the week, if we're being real with ourselves. But regardless, today we're going to be talking about Klint Kubiak, who was just hired to be the offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks, because during his introductory press conference, he had this to say.
Certainly loved playing with a fullback, like being in 21-12 personnel.
So as you can see, Kubiak is very interested in bringing the fullback back to Seattle, which is, of course, music to my ears. I'm very, very happy to hear it. So I wanted to take a look at what this means for the Seahawks, right? Who they could potentially go and get, a guy that they have in-house that could fit the bill, and what Kubiak's offense looks like with a fullback. So taking a look at the free agent fullbacks, and honestly, this isn't a full list. I don't know why Spot Rack only has 6 guys listed. But you also have Corey Blasingame, who I think would be a very nice fit. I think he's someone you could absolutely go get. And then you also have guys like Jakob Johnson and Keith Smith, who unfortunately I just think are on their way out. I think they're a little on the older side and probably aren't going to catch on. But taking a look at the guys here, Pat Ricard, I'm going to say absolutely not a Seahawk, just because I don't see him leaving Baltimore. Even if by some miracle Baltimore decided to move on, which would be idiotic because he is a key part of their offense, I don't think Seattle would be a great spot for him, because I don't think Kubiak likes a guy like Ricard. He wants someone who's a little bit more agile, a little bit more versatile. So I would say Ricard's off the table. Reggie Gilliam, I think, is a solid maybe. Gilliam would be perfect for this offense. He's relatively young, and he's really talented. Right? He can do the more athletic, versatile stuff, and he's a great special teamer. You have all this together. He would make a great candidate, but I don't know if Buffalo lets him walk. They were using him more and more as the year went on, so I think he's probably going to stick around in Buffalo. I would say the same applies to Burton. He's not quite the special teams player or athlete that Gilliam is, but I do think he's going to stick around in Denver. Him and Sean Payton seem to have a pretty good relationship. Nick Bellore, I'm going to say a hard no to. This is just because the guy's about to be 36. He doesn't really play fullback anymore. And, you know, in fact, I think more recently he's played linebacker than fullback, and he's kind of a special teamer at this point. So I'd say a hard no on that one. Adam Prentice, though, that's a big name. Was Kubiak's fullback last year in New Orleans. Had a great year. Was a really important part of the offense. And we'll take a look at him later on in this video. And then Robert Burns, I think, is a question mark as well, just because we don't really know much about him. He hasn't played a whole lot in the league, so we'll have to see what he is there. But I think realistically, if you're going to go the free agent route, Adam Prentice is absolutely the guy. The Saints, they just hired Kellen Moore, not exactly the biggest fullback fan. He had Corey Blasingame in Philly this past year, but Corey did not get a ton of reps, even though he should have. Very talented football player, just not Kellen Moore's MO. Then you take a look at when he was Dallas's offensive coordinator, they didn't have a fullback, so don't know if he's going to get re-signed in New Orleans. And then, like I said, as for the other guys, Corey, I think, is absolutely someone you entertain. Jakob and Keith Smith, I think, might be a little bit over the hump. But realistically, I think the guy the Seahawks are going to go with isn't one of the guys listed here. It's someone who has been listed at tight end, and that is Brady Russell, who was with the Seahawks last year, played fullback, played out of the eye a little bit, and was solid. You know, not a superstar or anything, but he did his job. He's got the intensity. He's got the grit. He's got the mindset. You know, he's somebody that you could absolutely mold into a really nice fullback. And he is an exclusive rights free agent. I almost forgot the term, and it's right there in front of me, an ERFA, exclusive rights free agent. So I'm pretty sure Seattle will retain him. So I think that's a great place to start. Let's take a look at what Brady Russell did this past year when he played fullback, some of the reps he had, and kind of talk about what that could look like in a Klint Kubiak offense. All right, so this is the first time Brady Russell lined up at fullback last year for the Seahawks. I'm going to be honest, I don't know if he's done it before in his career, but at least for Seattle, this was the first time. Got him lined up in the eye, 21 personnel, which if you don't know what that means there are 2 backs and 1 tight end. It's 21 personnel. Pretty self-explanatory there. This is going to be a simple play. We're just focused on what Russell is doing and that is picking up the linebacker and driving him away, opening up a hole for Zach Charbonnet to pick up some yards there. So Russell's assignment, very simple. Just get this linebacker and get him out of dodge, right? Get him out of the way, help clear the path for the running back. He does a great job of engaging with them, and the way he drifts with him away from the play means that Charbonnet has a lane that's starting to open up there that he's going to be able to cut up into. He recognizes that and picks up his yards. Brady Russell sticks with this guy through the play. Just a really solid, simple block. Not too much to say about this one. Just did exactly what he needed to, and sometimes that's all you need to do. All right, another play like that last one where Russell is just going to be lined up in 21 personnel. We've got him here. This is actually going to be 23 personnel. So you'll see what I mean in a moment. Once we motion this tight end across, 23 personnel, you've got the 1-2 backs in the backfield. You've got one tight end here, two tight end here. And Olu Oluwatimi is considered a tight end because he's reported in as eligible. So this is 23 personnel. Very heavy formation up on the goal line. And what's going to happen here is Brady Russell is going to be responsible for the linebacker Spectre. So just taking a look here, full speed, simple stuff. Square him up, drive him upfield, get him away from the back. He's unable to make a play. Not the cleanest block in the world, but it doesn't need to be. You just got to make that contact. Right there, he makes contact with Spectre, with the linebacker. Also ends up hitting Cam Lewis there. Drive them back and make it so they can't get to the ball carrier on this play. Make it so they can't get to Charbonnet. It's pretty simple stuff there. By the time that Lewis is able to get a hand on Charbonnet, he's already crossed the goal line in the end zone. So again, not the prettiest play, but it doesn't need to be. He does what he needs to. Gets in front of two guys, make sure that they can't bring down the back short of the goal line. And again, sometimes the simple thing is all you need, especially when it comes to playing fullback. All right, stop me if you've heard this one before. We've got 1, 2, 3 tight ends on the field with 1, 2 backs. I know it's a little hard to see, but there's Brady Russell's foot. So a little 23 personnel again. Hand this ball off. Russell picks up a linebacker, and then Ken Walker is able to slip into the end zone. So pretty self-explanatory. Again, you see the tackle here is actually going to get slipped. This is a straight up Matador play from 56. Brady Russell's going to recognize that, quickly make contact with him, and take him out of the play, make it so he can't make the play. Again, not the cleanest or prettiest block in the world, but it gets the job done. That's what I like about Brady Russell in 21 personnel for Seattle. He wasn't the prettiest blocker. He wasn't the most fundamentally sound or anything. That doesn't matter. He's just getting in the way, and that's what matters. You're making sure that 56 can't get to the ball carrier. Also, this is an awesome play by Ken Walker, too, slipping underneath a Fred Warner like that. That's sick. But yeah, Russell does what he needs to. And like I've said already, this is the third time I'll say it, the last time I'll say it. Sometimes doing what you're supposed to is all you need to do. It doesn't need to be some Herculean feat. Doesn't need to be some super fundamentally perfectly sound play. At the end of the day, the fullback's job is just to make sure the running back doesn't get tackled. And Brady Russell contributes to that. So that's a win in my book. And this last Brady Russell play we're going to take a look at here. We got 1, 2 tight ends on the field, 1, 2 backs on the field. Pretty self-explanatory there, but this design is really cool. So we're going to send Charbonnet in motion. You're going to bring the tight end across, and you've got Brady Russell as an offset back to the left here. Gino then brings Charbonnet back in motion, hands him the football, and Brady Russell is your lead blocker. And Charbonnet is able to walk in untouched into the end zone. He does get touched when he gets in the end zone, but that doesn't matter. So, watching it in full speed here, this is an awesome design. Really, really cool play here. I love how much it confuses the linebackers. Just watch 51 here. This dude is in hell watching this play unfold. You see right now, he's like, why is everyone moving? What is happening? Who am I supposed to guard? What am I doing? What's football? And then he gets blocked by Charles Cross. It's really cool. And then Brady Russell taking a closer look at him here. Pretty self-explanatory, just being the lead blocker. He sees his man 7, just wall him off and let Charbonnet walk on in behind you. It's exactly what he's going to do. Ends up doing a good job walling him off. Charbonnet is able to walk in. Easy touchdown. Again, not a super complex play design, but not a super complex block from Russell, just doing what he needs to do. And he's pretty damn happy about doing it, judging by how he tweets about, running the ball out of the eye on Twitter and stuff. So definitely some room to improve, but that's not a bad thing. If we want to make him a full-time fullback, especially if we're going to do some of the stuff with him that was done with Prentice that we'll talk about here in a couple seconds, then there's a lot of reason for optimism to believe that he could be the Seahawks option at fullback. He's cheap. You got him on an ERFA deal, so you have the right to him. You have the first, or the dibs on him, so to speak. You have his rights. He's probably going to get paid like tight end 3 money. You don't have to worry about shelling out for, one of the bigger name fullbacks, and he can get the job done. And at the end of the day, as I've said, that's what matters. All right, first thing you're going to see with Kubiak is the traditional 21 personnel, right? You got 1, 2 backs, 1 tight end, Prentice lined up in the eye in front of Alvin Kamara here. This is what most people think of when they think putting a fullback on the field. And naturally, you're going to do this a lot, in the red zone, as we saw with Brady Russell. A lot of his snaps came in the red zone. Kubiak likes to do this pretty much all over the field, but I'm using just a simple red zone clip to show, kind of that this is just going to be a little bit more of the same. So once you actually get this play going, you see it's just Prentice lead blocking for Kamara. He gets into the end zone, easy touchdown there. Take a look from a more schematic angle here. So the number one thing you get when you pull the fullback down, when you have the fullback in, is you are pulling everybody into the box. These 3 linebackers right here, the DBs, all of these guys are going to be focused on the backfield heavily before the ball is snapped when you have this lineup, because this signals that you're going to run the football. And more specifically, when you have this stretch here, these guys are going to flow with the flow of the play, right? So right away, you see how this is going to square up. 87 is going to step up here. The center is going to step up to take care of the linebacker. You got Fuago on the backside here. Ruiz is doing his job. Penning's doing his job. And then Prentice has to get upfield and block 18 coming downhill here. That's exactly what's going to happen. You see Prentice does a good job squaring him up, pops him, opens up Kamara to run upfield. Kamara stiff arms the linebacker, Luafau, to enable himself to get into the end zone. You see Ruiz ends up getting beat a little bit here. Also, my apologies, that's not Luafau, that's Eric Kendricks. But regardless, you see here, Ruiz ends up getting beat a little bit, but the design is there. It's really straightforward. Not a whole lot to talk about there. Just getting your fullback out in front, lead blocking for your tailback, realizing that running with the fullback in the backfield is going to pull everybody into the box, setting it up so everybody's going to be taken advantage of, hat on hat, so to speak. The only guy that you're going to see that goes unblocked here is 8 on the backside, but you're asking him to make a pretty substantial play to come from all the way up here and get over here with all of the traffic that's happening in the middle here. So you see he's kind of the odd man out. Doesn't end up impacting the play all that much. He ends up getting there, but at that point, Kamara is falling into the end zone. So either way, expect to see this from Kubiak. Just traditional 21 personnel in the red zone, utilizing that fullback to bring guys down into the box. Just some pretty standard stuff here to build off of, as we will see with the next couple plays.
Second play here from the Carolina game is a prime example of what I'm talking about. So you've got 21 personnel again. You see 2 backs, 1 tight end. What's going to end up happening here, the design of the play is they're going to run a bootleg, play action. You're going to fake the handoff to the left side of the line here, and that is going to get these 2 linebackers to bite. It's going to get the defensive lineman to carry with the flow of the offense. And then you run that boot back, end up throwing to Rashid Shaheed. You have 2 of your offensive linemen getting out in space to block for him. And there's going to be a lot of green because of getting some guys to bite with the flow of the offense. So taking a look here, watching it in full speed. Again, you see the fake handoff, bootleg, quick throw. guys are trying to get out in front. Penning does his job, and Shaheed's able to pick up about 11 there on the play. So taking a closer look at the design, again, you get everyone to follow the flow of the play. You see these linebackers coming downhill. You see J.C. Horn is steadily watching the backfield. Got downhill, downhill, downhill. Derek Brown's coming downhill. The edge rusher on the opposite side is going to play contain in case it is a boot, but still, he's not going to be in coverage guarding Shaheed. That's the big thing. You have this DB playing so far off of Shaheed on this play, and none of these linebackers are going to be able to come over and make a play. That opens up a lot of green for Shaheed. So on paper, if you can get your two linemen out in front here, it's going to end up being Ruiz and Penning, and you can rely on Chris Olave setting a solid block, this should be a pretty substantial gain, right? That's the design here. You want Penning to pick up whichever one of these DBs is able to come downhill. Spoiler alert, it's going to be this guy. And then Ruiz is going to serve as, if this guy can manage to get over, he needs to pick him up. So you have everything laid out here. This is really good play design. However, what ends up happening is a little bit different than the design. You see Carr executes, gets his ball to Shaheed quickly. The linemen are, good enough to get out in front. Penning ends up tripping, but it does wonders. It takes down his blocker. Shaheed, you see, once he catches this ball, he has to kind of hesitate for a moment because he's waiting for his guys to get in position. They get out in position, but Ruiz is unable to pick up 25, and Chris Olave just doesn't really care about blocking. You see up at the top of the screen here, once Olave gets in position, he runs his guy all the way down to the 5-yard line. His guy realizes what's going on, and Olave's like, well, I tried. You'd like to see a little bit more effort there. And Ruiz, he's a big boy. You're asking a lot to get him out in position. 25 just makes a really good cut to stay out of his lane. But regardless, I think the play design here is very good. Again, it's built off of that play action. I know play action is a pretty simple concept, but looking at specifically the linebackers biting so hard, because in these two's minds, what they're thinking is, okay, if these two are taking off to the outside, one of us, whoever gets there first, has to take out the fullback. Then whoever comes behind is able to take out the running back. So both of these guys need to be engaged. They need to be locked in. And because of that, Shaheed, again, has all this green in front of him for a, like I said, 10, 11-yard pickup, all built off of that play action, all because you have that fullback in the backfield, which is definitely a great benefit. All right, another fantastic example of the benefits of 21 personnel in that regard. You've got your tight end over here. You've got 1, 2 over here. This is a little bit later in the season, so we've got Rattler and a quarterback. And this is going to be a really cool play design. What's actually going to end up happening is it is going to be a toss. The back is going to take it to about here and then throw it back to Rattler, who's going to have a wide open receiver downfield, and we'll explain that once we've shown the play. So again, you get the actual toss. Everyone bites downhill. The back throws it back. Rattler is able to lob one up, and the tight end is wide open. So how does that happen? Well, again, you get these linebackers to come downhill. That's the first thing you want with the fullback. You see, they realize it's a toss. It is a toss. They're coming downhill. Additionally, because you've actually tossed the football, these guys over here that are supposed to have contain, they're crashing downhill. Crashing downhill. Crashing downhill. Crashing downhill. 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 Everybody's coming downhill, including the DBs, which is the big appeal here. While this is all happening, 87 is running across the field. He's got one man on him, but this man still sees that the tailback has the ball. So, he's looking at this like, okay, he's probably just working across to pick up a linebacker. They want him out in front. So he's not playing super aggressive coverage. 7 out here. He knows he's the last line of defense. Once we actually let this play a little bit more, you see everyone is sold on the downhill. Everyone is sold on the run. And then Miller here, the back, pulls up, and everybody's confused because they realize he's about to throw it back to the quarterback. Everyone's trying to figure out what's going on. And the tight end is about to break across here. He's going to get behind the corner, get underneath the safety, and that's exactly what they want. He's going to be the main read here. Now, the safety panics because he sees 17 coming across. He realizes he's going to be the last line of defense, so he's got to pick up 17. 25's panicking because 11 is wide open. So he wants to get down and be in front of 11 here.
20's freaking out because his guy is beating him. 18 here has no clue what's going on and is about to fall over. I mean, it is just a mess in the secondary. Like I said, 7 over here, he's trying to make up, and then he sees the tight end cutting back across. He's like, fuck, I guess I'm going back across too. And then 18, as I mentioned, is going to recognize that as well. He ends up stuttering a little bit, or tripping a little bit, excuse me. Puts his hand on the ground, and then again, 87 is able to just get wide open. So great play design here. Again, you have that fullback in the backfield. That's really selling the run. And by throwing it back to the quarterback there, you get your guy wide open. Huge gain, huge touchdown. A very, very nice play design. I love this call by Kubiak. I think this would be even better in Seattle because, you know, no offense to what the Saints have at running back at this point. I think K9 and Zach Charbonnet are a little bit more threatening, so maybe they'll demand even more respect. And also, again, no offense to Spencer Rattler, but I much rather would have Geno Smith throwing the ball across the field. Also important to point out, I didn't really mention this, but because of everyone biting downhill, Rattler has no pressure. You know, he's on an island over here. He just needs to make the throw. That's all he has to worry about. He doesn't have to worry about pressure. He doesn't have to worry about any of that. He has to worry about his timing, his placement, and his mechanics. Makes this super, super easy on the young quarterback. He's able to hit that tight end. So one more time, just running at full speed. I love this design. The fullback being in there absolutely helps you. Because again, you look at the end here, 41 Spillane is crashing down to engage with the tailback so that, you know, Diablo, one of the DBs, one of these defensive linemen, whoever, can come down and get the tailback. But yeah, just a really, really well drawn up play. You know, hopefully we see this whipped out in Seattle next year. I think this would be super fun to see, like Geno to, you know, whoever's playing tight end for the Seahawks next year, whether it's Noah Fant as the number 1, a draft AJ Barner, whoever. Just Geno to somebody. I love Geno. I want to see Geno succeed. And having a fullback in your offense can absolutely help Geno succeed. All right, this play here is less about the design and just more about the positioning of the fullbacks. We've got Prentice lined up as a tight end here, meaning we're 1, 2, 3 with one back, 13 personnel. You see we've got Derek Carr sprinting off to the side, so it's going to be a wildcat play with Taysom Hill taking a direct snap. Just snap this ball, pretty self-explanatory. 33-yard rushing touchdown there. Hill's got to bounce off some tackles. Hell of a run. But from Kubiak's perspective, from the play design perspective, pretty straightforward. Tight end blocks down, tight end blocks down. That leaves Prentice one-on-one with 43. They're opening a lane for Hill to shoot out of, and they're going to do a great job. Tight ends do their job. Well, one of the tight ends does their job. 83 ends up getting manhandled there. And then we take a look at Prentice. You want to get your hands inside the chest, so the hand placement isn't ideal, but he fights through. He sticks with his man through the play. He's unable to get a hold of Hill. That's what matters at the end of the day. You know, you don't need the perfect form, perfect technique every play. Sometimes you just got to make sure your guy can't get to the ball carrier. And Hill, like I said, is able to bounce off some tackles and shoot through for a 33-yard touchdown. So I know the Seahawks don't exactly have a Taysom Hill type player, but stick with me for a minute, right? Just play a little pretend. This is Geno Smith right here running out. This is Noah Fant. Goodness, couldn't remember his name. This is AJ Barner. This is either Brady Russell, Adam Prentice, or a different fullback. And this is just Kenneth Walker. Let's just pretend that's the layout here. So just imagine next year, divisional game, direct snap to Ken Walker. Tight ends do their job. Fullback does his job. Walker bounces off 2 tacklers, and he's in for a massive 33-yard touchdown. Cinema. Would be absolute cinema, right? So just a simple play call here. But, you know, the main point here with the purposes of the video is just to show that Kubiak will line his fullbacks up at tight end. That's not a foreign concept. That's not a new concept. It's pretty customary in today's NFL. Pretty routine. But, you know, you're obviously going to want a guy that can do a little bit of that. All right, another example of Prentice being lined up at tight end but being used a little bit differently. We have him here on the left side of your screen. we're in a little 12 personnel because you have 1, 2 tight ends, 1 running back. And what's going to happen is he's going to get motioned across, and that is going to set up most of this play. Him motioning is going to be the key to this play working, and you'll see what I mean when we actually break it down. So he cuts across the line, chips the edge there, picks up 25, and Jamal Williams is able to get into the end zone. So starting out with Prentice here, the first thing we want to take a look at is what he's doing. So promotioning him across for his sake is going to do 2 key things. Number one, it gives him momentum. He's able to build up momentum that he then uses to chip 52, and then he's able to get upfield. He picks up 25. 12 here, Olave disengaged from 25, and he's going to make his way upfield to pick up 2. So 2 key blocks here are made because of Prentice being able to pick up 25, right? Again, that's going to open up Jamal Williams to take off upfield. The other key thing, we rewind just a tad, and this will actually be the key to the majority of the play, is how he is able to make 47, 54, and 25 moves, specifically 25. We just mentioned that's who he picks up on the play. Now, if you watch, when he motions, 25 goes off your screen. That puts him over top of Olave. Olave is able to chip him, get him in position. Prentice picks him up. That's his block made. And his defender was in the position he wanted him to be in because of the motion. Now, I also mentioned it ends up moving 47 Josie Jewell and 54 Shaq Thompson as well. That's going to help 2 of the other linemen on this play. So we see right away, just going from back to front, the back side of the play here, Jewell is going to get picked up by the center. The center is going to chip 99 and then get upfield and pick up Jewell. So if we take a look here, he climbs the formation, climbs the play, picks up Jewell and drives him all the way. You see right there, he ends up being like a key blocker, a key bodyguard for Williams there, and really ends up blocking 2 dudes. This is one hell of a block right here. But regardless, that is set up by Prentice's motion. In turn, that also means that the block that is going to be set on the nose tackle here by the guard is also set up by that motion, because we have the center chipping him and then getting upfield. If the center just had to sprint upfield, which would likely happen to get him in the right position for Jewell here, then you're leaving the guard and the nose tackle one-on-one, and the guard has to reach. That's not ideal. Instead, the center is able to chip the nose tackle, get him a little like off balance, off kilter, and then the guard's able to pick it up, and it makes his job a hell of a lot easier. Additionally, take a look at the front side of the play. Shaq Thompson. What's going to end up happening? Well, the left tackle here, Talise Fuanga, is going to get upfield, and he's going to block it. He's able to do that because he's got that dog in him. If you can hear my dogs barking, you know it's because he's got that dog in him. But realistically, what's going on is he is going to be able to get upfield and make that play on paper. Now, what actually happens is Shaq Thompson, as my dogs are letting you know, has that dog in him, and he is going to slip this block and make his way into the backfield. Jamal Williams is able to sidestep him, gets in the end zone, big touchdown. But again, main point of this play, all of this is set up by Adam Prentice and his motion. Adam Prentice carries so much motion with this motion that it sets the entire play in motion. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. And the final play we're going to take a look at here. We're back in 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end. Prentice lined up at fullback once again. And this is going to be a pass blocking play. This is going to show what Prentice can do for you as an actual blocker. You know, we've seen him as a decoy in the past game, but this is going to be him as a blocker. And not in like the traditional, like sitting in the backfield one-on-one sense. He's going to make a crucial block on a bootleg. Now, I will say as a bit of a trigger warning, the guy he's going to block is going to get hurt. It's not a dirty play, and it wasn't a major injury. I just want to throw that out there so it doesn't look like I'm celebrating an injury or anything like that. At the end of the day, this is a contact sport. Guys are going to get hurt. They're going to tweak things. They're going to land awkwardly. It sucks, but it does happen. And the guy that I'm talking about, Yaya Diaby, does end up being okay. So, not huge in the grand scheme of things, but just wanted to point that out. So, taking a look at this play in full speed, you fake that handoff to the right, boot back to the left, and then you end up throwing across the middle there to a wide open tight end. So how does Prentice play into all of this? Well, very simply. Very simply. Since this is going to be a boot, they're going to fake this handoff to the right side of the field, left side of our screen. Their line is going to sell that. So everybody is going to shift that direction, and they're going to down block the guy across from them, which means that Yaya Diaby is going to be left wide open. He's going to be left on an island. No one is going to block him right away. So it's Prentice's job to get across the line and pick up Diaby. He has the most important block. On paper, if he can pick up that block, then Rattler theoretically has all day back there to make his read, make his throw, which is great for a young quarterback who was a late round pick, isn't exactly the most polished, just making things easier on him, right? So you see, that's exactly what happens. First of all, with the fake run, you bring 52 down. He's going to end up getting comboed here by a route being run over the middle of the field. You see all of the linemen pulling down across as I'm getting a TikTok like. I've tried to record this clip 15 different times, and quite frankly, I don't want to record it again. So we're going to do it live. We're going to leave it. But again, you see everybody down blocking, which means Yaya Diaby's on an island. And the only other player you have to worry about is Levante David. But from what I can see, it looks like man coverage, and he's manned up on Prentice. So he doesn't end up being a real threat to Rattler. So you finish the boot. You get Prentice taking out Diaby. And again, it's a little ugly. What he's doing here is he is aiming for the thigh, which is a clean block, legal block, very common block. But Diaby tries to sidestep him, and Prentice ends up hitting a little bit lower, and Diaby does like a little bit of a split and lands awkwardly. But regardless, you take out Diaby. Even if he wasn't hurt, he would just be on the ground at this point, which is buying Rattler a lot of time. You see Levante David, he's playing underneath. So Rattler has the ability to keep his eyes downfield and look. Eventually, he ends up finding that wide open tight end for a massive gain, gets himself down inside the 10. Now, you probably did see there was an edge rusher, or a defensive lineman, a pass rusher. That's what I was trying to say, that got free. That's because Talise Fuanga did not do a great job against Kalijah Cansey. Cansey was just a little too quick, but Rattler was still able to let that one rip. So theoretically, everything, if it would have worked as it was meant to, Rattler wouldn't have had anybody on him because of the way it was designed. Prentice taking the one guy that didn't have someone over top of him. Just a nice design here. Again, pretty common, not too crazy, but it gets the job done. It does work. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. You want a guy who's going to bring in concepts that, even if they're not super exciting, even if they're not super flashy, even if they're not like original, they work. They function. And for the Saints, they absolutely did. And for being honest, the Seahawks are a lot better on paper than the Saints. Geno Smith is way better than Derek Carr and Spencer Rattler. Their weapons are way better than the Saints' weapons. So assuming everything transitions smoothly and Kubiak's able to run his offense the way he wants to, there's a lot to get excited about. And the fullback being a part of that offense is one of the things that I am most excited about for the Seahawks this year. But anyways, folks, that is going to do it for this installment of Fullback Fridays here on the Miller Football channel. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like down below, as it does help out the channel a ton, shows your support, shows you care, and I really do appreciate it. Also, make sure to let me know down in the comments below what you thought about this video. If you're a Seahawks fan, are you excited about Klint Kubiak? I know I would be if I was a Seattle fan, given what that team had to deal with last year, and then obviously dealing with Shane Waldron before that. That would be terrible to have to deal with. I wouldn't wish dealing with Shane Waldron upon my worst enemy, because I now know how it feels, being a Bears fan. But regardless, let me know what you think. Are you excited Seattle's bringing the fullback back? I know I am. I can think of a lot of really fun Seattle fullbacks. Max Strong, one of the better ones I've seen in my lifetime. Owen Schmidt, I'm a West Virginia fan, so I love my boy, the runaway beer truck. Leonard Weaver, the face cleaver. There's been a lot of great fullbacks for Seattle, and that's just some of the relatively more recent guys. But let me know down in the comments below your thoughts on all that. And also make sure to subscribe, as we will be pumping out content throughout the offseason, If you're here for the Seahawks, we'll probably be talking about their draft whenever that happens. We're going to be talking about draft prospects, all that good stuff. If you're here for the fullbacks, just know that as the offseason goes on, these might become a little more bi-weekly as opposed to weekly. I'm going to try my best, but, things get a little more scarce once you hit the offseason. I also really want to dive into draft content this year, so We'll have to see how that pans out, but regardless, there's definitely going to be stuff you won't want to miss, so make sure to subscribe. And to everyone out there watching, again, I hope you all enjoyed. And I also hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, night, afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. I hope you enjoy it because you're all wonderful people and you truly do deserve it.
Had a chance on the throwback. This was an ill-advised throw. What an unbelievable catch by Cole Kmet. And he cups it too. No movement when he hits the ground, tucked up against his shoulder. Wow.
Using that